He should be facing the music on this in a tribunal, an inquiry, and any other official bodies that are coming down the track about what happened in this country, and that, particularly in that first wave of the pandemic, when we were so woefully underprepared. Remember, Matt Hancock, at the start of the pandemic, stood up in the House of Commons in January in 2020, and he assured us that we were fully prepared for what was to come. And it turned out we couldn't have been less prepared. We had no testing system, no personal protective equipment. That's why so many people died who worked in our health system. The borders were left wide open for everyone to bring the virus in, and so on and so on. On every single metric in that first 6 months, it was a total disaster. And the idea that he's now going to profit massively from a book about his failures in the pandemic and now become a reality TV star making hundreds of thousands of pounds as a celebrity from his failure and his infamy as someone who had to quit his job or be fired over an illicit affair breaking his own lockdown rules is beyond belief. Now, some people, despite all this, are prepared to defend him. Louise Mensch joins me from New York, often defends the indefensible on this programme, normally finds out belatedly that I'm right all along. Also joined by Paul Burrell. Welcome to you as well, Paul. I'll come to you in a moment. Louise Mensch, how on earth do you defend this when we have just been told by the Bank of England that we're facing the worst recession in 100 years? This man is a highly paid member of Parliament who has a constituency of people who are going to desperately need his help. He's 10,000 miles away eating kangaroo bollocks. What's going on?
Well, I think maybe he thought that was a more hospitable environment for him than the House of Commons. And by the way, I told you Rishi Sunak would be a disaster, and so it is proving. I don't defend Matt Hancock, what he's doing. He shouldn't be doing it. And for him to go out and say it's not about the money is just taking people for fools, quite frankly. But that said, I think it's the least important thing for the Conservative Party to be faffing around, taking the whip away from him. They didn't take it away from Nadine Dorries. That's just hypocrisy. And I think Rishi Sunak is using this entire affair to distract from the fact that he's got a criminal as Home Secretary. That's what's really important, not that Matt Hancock is on his way out the door, to be honest with you, and is lining his pockets on the way out.
Yeah,
That's
but you see,
I
don't agree. As long as he remains a member of Parliament, his salary is paid for by the British taxpayer. The British taxpayers, in their millions, are facing the worst cost of living crisis in living memory, and many of them will need their MP's help in their constituency. It's an absolute abrogation of his duty to jet off to the other side of the world and take part in some dumb reality show.
Well, perhaps it's time for the House of Commons to change the rules so that MPs can't do this. He's not the first and he won't be the last. There was that Dugdale, I think her name is the SNP MP who did it as well. But the fact is right now the rules protect MPs who want to go away and line their pockets with a little bit of, £400,000 is a hell of a lot of money. It's pretty clear to me that Matt Hancock isn't going to stand again. And this isn't the only project that he's doing. Should he be doing it? Absolutely not. Is the government use it to distract from the Home Secretary being a criminal leaker who's worse than a rusty colander? In my opinion, yes, they are. But if you're asking me if I defend Matt Hancock making this choice, I say I definitely don't. When I was an MP, they offered me a large amount of money to go and do that show, and I turned them down. I wasn't a government celebrity. I didn't think it was appropriate at all. But I think I might be the only MP that's ever said no to that amount of cash.
Right, I mean, this is the thing, Paul Burrell, isn't it? He's obviously, we know he's getting divorced or is divorced now. I can't keep up with his shenanigans, but we know he probably needs the money. We know that he has probably got no way back to frontline politics. He was humiliated by Rishi Sunak last week in a really cringe-making video when he's blanked him. So there's no way back for him at high level. So he's banking the cash. My point, I mean, you've been in I'm a Celebrity. We're going to see him laid bare,
yes.
Probably at his worst, aren't we?
Yes.
Because they'll know that's what the British public will want to
yes.
see, him ritually humiliated.
Yes.
What's it like in that jungle? Is there
yes.
any escape from the glare of the cameras?
No. There's no hiding once you're in the jungle clearing. The great British public will decide themselves if they like Matt Hancock or not. And my prediction is they won't. I don't think Matt Hancock will do himself any justice by doing I'm a Celebrity to get you out of here, because you can't hide, you can't lie, you're yourself. You're literally laid bare, and anything and everything he does will be recorded. And I think the great British public will love to see our health secretary swigging back a cockroach smoothie. It'll make great television, but it won't do him any good.
I mean, I would love to see him humiliated, no question. But I just, I keep thinking back to the pandemic, and I keep thinking of all the families who couldn't go and see their dying loved ones. They couldn't have weddings, funerals. They couldn't have christening. They couldn't do any of these things. The sacrifices made by the public and were immeasurably worsened by Matt Hancock's incompetence. And then he brazenly broke his own lockdown rules to have an affair and has to be fired from his job. And now he seems to be making all this profit from books, from TV shows, and everything else, off the back of ignominy and disgrace.
It's an incredible fee to pay someone to sit in the jungle and eat a kangaroo's penis, isn't it? But, you know, somebody's paying this amount of money to humiliate him, really. And I thought that Parliament was still sitting. I thought his job was to sit in Parliament on behalf of his constituents. Ask them what they think. They can't be too happy.
No, I mean, this is the point, really, isn't it? Bring Rachel back in. I mean, if I'm a West Suffolk constituent watching this go down, this guy has already, been the subject of national hatred over a lot of the terrible mistakes he made in the pandemic, then national ridicule for the affair which broke his own rules, which is why he had to go. Now they're going to see him be humiliated, doing the most cringe-making things in a jungle in Australia, while they're all suffering financial hardship. There's got to be a tipping point, hasn't it? Just enough.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he obviously thinks he's a celebrity. He obviously thinks he's going to win the British public over. The public that I saw in the NHS every day of that pandemic was the absolute best of Britain. People being decent, courageous, frightened, but putting on a brave face, sacrificing over and over again to help each other. That's what most people did. They rolled up their sleeves, they tried their best. He wasn't so much rolling up his sleeves, as far as I can tell, as groping the bottom of the woman with whom he was having his affair. Pretty sleazy stuff. And now, he's not a celebrity. He's a grubby little man who's making blood money off the notoriety that was rightly heaped on him.
I totally agree.
And I just think his ego's writing checks that his morals can't cash. It's an absolute disgrace. And is it so wrong and is it so old-fashioned to want politicians who have a sense of public service? You rightly say the country's going into crisis. Politicians should be putting their constituents first and foremost.
Absolutely.
He's bankrolling a nest egg for his
And by the way, he's
future.
being paid £86,000 to serve his constituents, and he'll be away for a month. So it's unbelievable. The team did a little mashup of Matt Hancock's, I don't know what you call this, really. Let's just play it and you can all laugh at him. Don't stop me now. You're quite emotional by that.
Well, it's just...
Is this your rally cry to the nation, to have a caramel waffle to get you going?
If you like a caramel waffle, have a caramel waffle. Just don't have too many and do a bit of exercise.
Get out there and get your vaccine.
Absolute buffoon. An absolute buffoon. But I think there's a lot of people who won't be laughing about this, who will be as angry as I am, as you are, Rachel, and I think as everybody else will be. I think it's completely shameful. Anyway, thank you for joining me. It's good to finally meet you.
Pleasure.
Louise, thank you for joining me from New York. Paul, always good to talk to you. Appreciate you joining the programme. Thank you all very much.